Colonization.
This government seems convinced to take tax dollars and give rebate pennies. What this Premier, in all of his answers so far, fails to realize is that every single dollar on tax, on groceries, on heating, is a direct hit to those that are barely hanging on. People like Pamela, a 64-year-old woman grappling with health issues and currently living in a travel trailer outside of Kelowna. She says, and I quote, "We pay, but we get no rebates. The middle class are going to be financially driven to food banks or mortgage default," end quote. Why does the Premier continue to pile on pain and ignore people like Pamela?
Minister of Environment.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Everything this government has done since 2017 has been for people. Whether it's cutting childcare costs by 2/3.
Members. Minister will continue.
Whether it's cutting childcare costs by 2/3, whether it's reducing ICBC rates by hundreds of dollars, whether it's reversing and holding steady BC Hydro rates as opposed to the plan those on the other side had when they were in government, which was to drive them up through the roof, we've paid attention to the needs of people. This budget pays attention to the needs of people, and every penny in yesterday's carbon tax increase is going back to people, low and middle income people, through the Climate Action Tax Credit.
Colonization supplemental.
Well, it's interesting that the minister talks about childcare when we have 10,600 less spaces today than we did in 2019. Or ICBC and lessening rates. Well, we actually have jacked up rates of 40% that then they gave back a pittance to and lowered by 25. This NDP government, only this NDP government could attempt to justify a 23% tax increase that no one wants, no one can afford, and is deepening the cost of living crisis in what is already Canada's most expensive province to live. A retired teacher wrote to me to say, and I quote, "I don't know anyone who has received a carbon tax credit. I'm actually being hit with a tax that I cannot in any way minimize. I'm essentially screwed," end quote. The carbon tax will gouge $9 billion from British Columbians over the next 3 years, with only a fraction returned through rebates. When will the Premier stop his relentless assault on affordability that is making the NDP's cost of living crisis worse?
Hear, hear.
Minister of Environment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The only relentless assault from those on this side of the House is on unaffordability. Unaffordability that we take on every single day. In this year's budget, we're putting up to $500 back in people's pockets through the new BC Family Benefit Bonus. 25% more families will benefit. We're taking every penny of the carbon tax increase and putting it to low and middle income people through the Climate Action Tax Credit.
Members. Minister will continue.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. If we do want to talk about unaffordability, if we do want to talk about a tax on British Columbians, let's look at the record of the Leader of the Opposition. Tax cuts for the top 2% of British Columbians. Tax hikes for the top 2% of British Columbians.
Members.
$450 million in tax cuts to big business and calling it revenue neutrality.
Members will come to order. Members, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. As I said, tax cuts for the top 2%, tax cuts for big business, ICBC rates hiked 11% for British Columbians, medical services plan premiums by 10%, and hydro rates that were going through the roof so they could raid BC Hydro and call it a balanced budget. We've changed that. We're going to continue to change that. If they don't like it, I get it.